Welcome aboard. I'm just waiting for a drum set to get here that I gotta work on and check out. But I was warned about a video from Highline Guitars. It's called The Science of Making Guitars. Now you can see this is a channel that I'm subscribed to. Actually, I'm not sure if you can see that. My stuff might be covering it up. I'm actually subscribed to this channel. I like this channel. It's a lot of good guitar repair and building info on this channel. But I think I've heard him say some kind of pseudo-science-y kind of junk before. I think it was about tone wood. This one's called The Science of Making Guitars. And I know he talks about Jim Lill on here. And you know I love the Jim Lill's videos. So let's just take, I sped it up a little bit. Let's see what we got here.
Hey guys, it's Chris from Highline Guitars. You're watching another one of my YouTube guitar building videos. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope that by the end of this video, I'll have earned the honor and privilege of your subscription. I'm sure many of you
already have my subscription. I mean, like I say, this channel is really good on the repair stuff. There might be some goofiness, but here we go.
You are familiar with videos that are posted on YouTube from a gentleman by the name of Jim Lill. His videos have been out for a couple of years now, and he has one in particular where he talks about where the tone comes from in an electric.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this, okay, sorry for already digressing. Jim Lill. Oh. So this is what this guy did. Where does the tone come from in an electric guitar? And one of his tests is this thing here. He just put a bridge on one table and a neck on headstock tuners on the other table, and it sounded the same as any other electric guitar. Look, when it comes to an electric guitar, the same thing as the alternator in your car. You're generating electricity by making mechanical motion. There's a couple plausible things that could make, construction-wise, could make some changes in how it sounds, but not by much. And a lot of these times, you guys always see species of wood, right? Like maple. Oh, maple sounds this way. Rosewood sounds that way. It's nonsense. If you've ever seen a tree ring, let's see. Take a look at images. So here's dendrochronology. Here's tree rings, right? That's what, if you look at any tree, there's like hard and soft spots, dense and light spots. But you can't go by species anyway. Even if the wood made some difference to tone, it's not going to be the species of wood. That's just silly. And you guys know better than that.
Guitar. And that video was published, I think about 2 years ago. And as I make this video in June of 2024, it's garnered 2.2 million views. So it's a very popular video. And what he does is he conducts some simple experiments to try to figure out where the tone in an electric guitar comes from. You know, is it the pickups? Is it the woods, the electronic controls? Where is it coming from? And what he has done is he's produced an excellent video that offers a hypothesis, okay? His videos are not science. They are not scientific. He doesn't follow scientific processes and procedures to arrive at his hypothesis. He simply does the experiments, the tests, and lets us kind of decide for ourselves what the outcome is.
Not really. Okay. He didn't. Okay, first of all, he doesn't come with the hypothesis. He actually just takes all the data, throws it in a blender, and sees what comes out. So go ahead and watch that video. Tell me I'm wrong. He doesn't actually have a hypothesis. He had some, when he does his speaker ones, like where does tone come from in a speaker cabinet, he had some preconceived notions about what it would be, but even that got blown out of the water right away, and he wasn't super married to it. Hey, Poo Ninja. Blinding us with tone science. Okay. Now, yes, it wasn't a scientific paper presented with peer review. Actually, there's a pseudoscience paper about Tonewood that did make it through peer review, sadly, but I don't think anybody actually takes it seriously. But this is a whole problem with the peer review process that I guess that's up for a whole different video. I mean, I guess he could have, you know what? So this is wrong, because the fact that he didn't actually have a hypothesis is what makes it not a scientific test. He didn't start. I mean, if you look at the scientific method, you know, you got your hypothesis and you got your methodology. He didn't do that. He just wanted to know, where does the tone come from? And he tried all different things. And maybe you guys should watch this this video, but it's so wrong. The thing is, way back in the day when I was trying to get my 15-second car to turn 13s, I made a lot of mistakes of changing a couple things at once and not knowing what it was that was making the thing actually faster or slower. And my boss at the time said, you know, don't go changing your jets and your metering rods. Change the jets or the metering rods and see if it's faster or slower there. Jim Little does this. He's changing one variable at a time. So it's not a scientifically peer-reviewed test, but it's done in the best practices of science that I can tell.
That is not science. Now, Jim doesn't claim that it's science. However, I have had viewers tell me that they are science. And
so this already, and look, anytime you get into these magical religious arguments about mic preamps or Tonewood or cable lifts, magical speaker cables, any of that stuff, you ask for evidence, they run. It's no different than arguing with a flat earther or a young earth creationist. There's always this God of the gaps thing. There's always an attempt to turn it into a philosophical argument and said, so now we've already, never mind, what did he do wrong? I don't care. But let's talk about how it's not a scientific thing. It's somebody used the word science. That hurts my feeling. Look, who cares? Show where he's wrong. Let's see if he show where he's wrong.
And unfortunately, what that does is it confirms in my mind that there are a lot of people out there who simply don't understand what scientific methods and procedures are.
Okay. Is this about whether or not the Tonewood thing is true? If so, skip the meta. Show us why it's true. You're going to go on some derailing rant about something that Jim Little didn't even explain. Maybe he wants to explain science to us. Fine. But this would be a huge obfuscation and a dodge. This is like a Darth Dawkins dodge right here.
You can't simply make a video where you do some tests and call that science. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Tonewood is the definition of pseudoscience. Notice we're only seeing a little bit of this right here. So I'm not, I could be putting my foot in my mouth because for all I know, this is going to change later on. But this almost looks like a quote mine right here, because when it comes to a list of things that people do that make something pseudoscience, Tonewood believers check all of the boxes.
You have to follow.
All we see is that one line. There's a lot more when it comes to pseudoscience. Carl Sagan's baloney detection kit is pretty good for this one.
Very rigorous processes and procedures and methods and techniques in order for the work that you do to be considered science. You have to, first of all, develop a hypothesis. Then you have...
Wait, I thought he said that Lil had a hypothesis. My thing is that Lil didn't have a hypothesis.
To design a test.
He designed a test.
Then that test has to be executed in a controlled environment.
He executed the test in a controlled environment. There are some error bars there, but they're so far below what you are claiming. You Tonewood guys. I don't know that he's a Tonewood guy, but This is the other thing. One time we had a ABX test where a guy said, "Oh, it's so obvious which is the real compressor and which is the plug-in compressor." And so I put up a 320 MP3 of the real compressor versus this plug-in. And of course, what did the God of the Gaps guy say? Oh, well, it's an MP3, so all the differences are gone. Well, if all the differences are gone, and the MP3 still sounds like an MP3, it still sounds like the real song. If there's a difference, it doesn't amount to anything.
After which the results need to be published in a peer-reviewable journal. Then peers, who are scientists like yourself, and I forgot to mention that, you have to be a scientist to do this. You can't just be any Joe Blow off the streets with an idea.
That's not true. That's not true at all. Most of the modern world that we live in now was created by gentlemen scientists and gentlewoman scientists. Now it's true that because of the money involved and the diminishing returns, the garage scientist isn't as important, but garage scientists still come up with stuff. Most of these guys didn't even go to school.
Yeah, you have to be a scientist.
No, you don't.
And your peers will review the results of your work. And in many cases, they will replicate that experiment that you performed.
Yes, replication is key. Go ahead and replicate Jim Lill's tests and see if you get anything different. You know you won't, which is why you're talking about talking instead of actually doing the tests.
In order to either prove or disprove your hypothesis. Once that has been accomplished.
Yeah, YouTube, okay. Pooh Ninja says, isn't YouTube a peer-reviewed publication? Yes. Yes, it is. And look, you guys know I am a huge science pusher, but I hate gatekeepers. And right now in academia, in this publish or perish world, we're watching all these super high profile frauds get taken down. And these super high profile frauds at all the Ivy League institutions, I think Stanford lost a president over this. Harvard, I think, is losing a super high level people over this. What's that name? Francesca. You're seeing all these people get nailed, and they passed peer review. Their fraudulent papers passed peer review. So one particular academia system is not necessarily peer review. Let's let me show you something. What, in case you don't really understand what peer review is, I'm going to show you something that most of you guys will understand. So I'm just going to go to Ultimate Guitar here. I'm going to type in something Metallica because, man, people are nuts about Metallica. I'm going to go to Guitar Pro, and I'm going to, nothing else matters here. So here's some tablature. Let me show you something. So the thing about science and peer review is replication is so important. If you can't redo the experiment given the same conditions that that person told you, it's kind of worthless. You got a one-off. Was that an anomaly or something? Now, if you come to Ultimate Guitar, especially when it comes to something like a band that everybody loves, and they all argue over, was that a quarter note? Was that a dotted eighth note with a 32nd note tied to it or something? You're going to see in the comments here absolute brutality. And this is how, oh yeah, it's Diane Fossey. Oh no, Jane. Okay, so there's Jane, Diane Fossey, Jane Goodall. Yeah, hero of mine as an anthropologist, absolutely taken down for garbage methodology. And she was held up as a darling to everybody. There's three of them. There was, what's the other one? The trimates, they called them. I think the Swedish lady, she's still in there. But man, Goodall got absolutely knocked off the pedestal. And this is after, my entire life of thinking that this is one of my most important heroes in my life. And it turned out she's just a fraud, man. And if you can't admit that, I don't care if she was my hero for decades. She's wrong. Okay. Yeah. Diane Fossey was the Diane Fossey was the one who was popularizing the plight of the gorillas. I don't know if she was actually, did she really do much research? Is Goodall is the one I'm really like, ugh, painful. Anyway, so you look at these notes. Sometimes you'll see people actually put corrections in, just like you will in a peer-reviewed journal. I think you meant this in this equation. But one of the things about science is you will do just as well as a scientist tearing down established science or another scientist or their paper or May David's. You'll do just as well tearing down another scientist as you will publishing your own paper. So when you see like really ugly stuff in the in these comments on Ultimate Guitar or whatever, you're looking at what peer review really is. Look at these threaded things. This one's actually pretty positive. Usually it's pretty ugly. Yeah, here you go. The tab seems pretty good. One problem is that on second verse, the drums go out of time. Something like the swing feel appears. I downloaded the Guitar Pro version. It's normal. The problem is only on this Ultimate Guitar Pages version. Okay, so that's a methodology problem, right? But you're going to see this. And this is how peer review really goes. You might, I know all the cork-sniffing academicians are going to, well, especially the credentialists, are going to be mad about this. But essentially, what you see on Ultimate Guitar is what peer review is. Don't like it? Sorry. I'm betting if it's Master of Puppets, yeah, here's Master of Puppets. Master of Puppets, let's find one with the pile. These are guaranteed this is going to have some uglies. Great tab. Harmony in the first duo solo sounds like crap, but it's a matter of finding the optimal guitar sound. They don't like their tone, whatever. You kept a silent moment for Cliff. Harmony is correct. The higher harmony should be quieter. This is the way Trivium covered it. Good tab. They're actually talking about the sound on this. Interesting. I guess people like this. Honestly, nobody really knows exactly what the time signature is in the first place. Man, that's hilarious watching videos about that. Anyhow, let me get back to this.
And let's say for sake of argument, your peers have confirmed what you discovered in your tests, it then becomes scientific theory. It's really very simple, but you can't do a comparison test and make a video and post it to YouTube and call it science. It just simply isn't that's not what it is. And we have to be pretty thankful that it isn't like that, because then science would be riddled with.
Right. And who cares? So this is a deepity. If you guys don't know what a deepity is, it's something, the late great Dan Dennett, I think his daughter coined the term. It's something like love is all you need. To the extent that it's true, it's trivial. And to the extent that it's profound, it's not true. Love isn't all you need. You need oxygen, you need food, you need a planet that you can not fall through. But maybe you just mean in a small way, to be happy, maybe sort of love is all you need. So it's a deepity. He's right that it's not actually science, but in any way that it actually matters, if these tests are correct, it's as scientific as it needs to be. So better than getting into some semantic war about what science is, why don't you prove him wrong? Go ahead. Let's hear all your evidence about why Jim Lill's wrong here.
With poorly executed methods and procedures to try to determine what is truly science. Now,
that wasn't a poorly executed. Show how it was poorly executed.
For years, I've made a number of videos where I've talked about wood and its effect on tone.
And you've been wrong every time. And you've been wrong every single time. Show one video where you can actually show that it was wood that was changing the tone. I've never seen his video of this. I've heard claims and I've watched the videos, and he himself, I don't think, actually said that was definitive. There's too many other variables involved.
For example, laminated guitar necks. Those are the two topics that I have done videos on in the past, which have garnered a lot of controversy. And a lot of times folks will comment on those videos by expressing their opinion, which is fine. I encourage that. But your opinion is just that. It's not scientific fact. Furthermore, you cannot take science that has been done in other areas and apply it to something completely different.
Yes, you can. Again, this is a deepity. Look, you can use the speed of light as a yardstick in other fields than astrophysics. You can use it in electronics. Okay. I don't know if that's really what he's saying, but yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Yes, it does.
Science in one arena is science in that arena.
No.
It's not science in all arenas.
No.
So when I say that
in any way, shape, or form,
a poorly constructed laminated guitar neck is worse than a one-piece guitar neck, you can't come back and tell me.
Wait. What do you mean by worse? What do you mean by worse?
Laminated guitar neck is worse than a one-piece guitar neck. You can't come back and tell me that laminated wood is always better, and it's been proven in the construction industry. Because
who's saying any of this? Look, this is about Jim Lill or whatever. Show where he's wrong. Come on.
Because the methods and techniques for testing laminated wood in the construction industry is completely different than what we would do to test a laminated guitar neck.
Was that the claim? Let's hear this again. This guy's just all over the place.
It's not science in all arenas.
Okay.
So when I say that a poorly constructed laminated guitar neck is worse than a one-piece guitar neck, you can't come back and tell me that laminated wood is always better, and it's been proven in the construction industry. Because the methods and techniques for testing...
What do you mean better? Better? You mean stronger? What if you had 3 pieces of laminated balsa wood versus one giant piece of oak? I'll take the giant piece of oak. What if you had 3 pieces of laminated oak versus 1 chopstick of balsa wood? I'll take the laminated oak.
Laminated wood in the construction industry is completely different than what
Nobody's
we would
saying
do
any
to
of this.
test
This is
a
such a red
laminated
herring.
guitar neck. So the science of laminated construction does not apply to a laminated guitar neck.
That's not true at all. The science of laminated construction is exactly what you use to laminate a guitar neck. Get that?
Same thing is true with the so-called tone wood debate. Just because you can prove that certain materials have certain effects on certain situations, like in the hi-fi industry, doesn't mean it's going to translate over.
That's a hi-fi. Look, if you're going to talk about pseudoscience, is there any industry, and I mean guitar players are bad. They're really bad. But there is no industry on earth, and I mean, I'm talking wellness, chiropractic, health, homeopaths and stuff. Nobody, even they, would blush if they got compared to audiophiles. I mean, you can't, you got the worst thinking on the planet is coming from the hi-fi industry. That's not where you want to go with this one, but I digress.
To an electric guitar. That's an apples to orange comparison, and it's not science.
That's
not
true.
Part of the reason why science is so rigorous in how it is executed. We can't have people falsely applying tests from one study into another study.
You say falsely. Yes, you can't have them falsely doing it. But the speed of light is the speed of light no matter which field of science you're talking about. Second law of thermodynamics. It applies to your guitar just as much as it does to an internal combustion engine. So you're so off here.
Because it's not correct. It's inaccurate. So we have to make sure that the science...
This is like, I mean, you guys have seen this before, like when like anti-evolution debates or whatever, they're just grasping. Well, one time this guy had a pig tooth and he said it was from a guy. Therefore, men came from talking snakes or something. I don't know.
is an orange to orange or apples to apples comparison. And unfortunately, in the world of electric guitars, a lot of the studies that I, for one, would love to see done haven't been done and probably never will.
Okay, you guys ever watch the flat earthers? Like, okay, I know. Flat earth guys always say, well, you know, if you could get to Antarctica, you could prove that the world is round, but nobody's ever been to Antarctica because there's a giant ice wall, or the military won't let you go near Antarctica. There's always some excuse why the science can't be done. The Tonewood science can't be done. Honestly, there was Tonewood stuff published. It was just so fraudulent and garbage that nobody takes it seriously.
To my knowledge, nobody has ever conducted bona fide scientific research on wood and its effect on tone in an electric guitar, or whether or not a laminated neck is even viable.
No, well, so okay. I'm going to put aside the laminated neck thing because that's not even a question. What do you mean viable? There's plenty of guitars with laminated necks. So what the hell are you talking about? What do I got here? Here is a laminated neck. The two skunk stripes. I play this guitar all the time. So yes, it's viable. Over. Science over. Man. Yes.
And the reason for that is simple. It's cost. I mean, when you look at the pharmaceutical industry,
it's too expensive to run a proper test. Look, Jim Lill did a test. Yes, it wasn't published in a scientific peer-reviewed journal that Ivy League academician of credentialists fraudulently published their fake papers in, but he did a perfectly good experiment. And unless you can show why that experiment's wrong, you're just babbling. You're just running a gish gallop. This is like a Darth Dawkins filibuster right here. Get to the point, man. Look, you're like 2/3 done with this video already.
As an example, a drug maker can spend billions and billions of dollars to develop just one drug. So that kind of gives you an
electrostats. Man, we had some, like, was it 6 or 8 foot magnepans at one of the studios? I was so terrified that a gust of wind was going to come in and rip that speaker into little pieces, man.
Idea of how expensive scientific research is. And because of this, no one is going to front the money to do that kind of research on an electric guitar simply because...
Good thing you don't need to. Good thing you don't need to. Just go show why Jim Lill's experiment was wrong. Go ahead. This is such obfuscation. These are just like red herrings. Throw them all. Skip the meta, dude. Skip the meta, Darth. Let's go.
Because the electric guitar is not a critical component in the advancement of the human species. Yeah, they're fun and we enjoy them and they bring great satisfaction to our lives, or great frustration. But in the end, there's no reason to do that level of scientific research. So what we're left with is expressing our opinions. Now, when Jim Lill posted up...
Jim Lill showed some experiments. You're talking about your opinions. He wasn't. He was just doing the experiment and popping out the data.
His video about where the tone comes from an electric guitar, what he was doing was he was presenting a hypothesis.
No.
It's not a scientific...
No, that wasn't a hypothesis.
...study. Nothing about his video would indicate that it was done in the method that is required for it to be considered a scientific study.
Is the hang up that it wasn't a scientific study, or is the hang up that it's not true? We care about what's true, okay? Formulate a hypothesis. You say he did that. He actually didn't, but let's just say he did. Okay? Design experiment to test that hypothesis. He did. Conduct the experiment. He did. Expected results and observed results. He saw what they compared them. He didn't really draw conclusions. He showed you the data. Without having to spell it out for you. He did refine the hypothesis several times. Again, we're getting a little bit wiggly with what the hypothesis is because he was really just conducting experiments. But in any way that this matters, he actually did this. So he refined it and did it again. He reported his findings. That's YouTube. Sorry, you guys don't like it, but YouTube is a peer-reviewed journal. It is. And conduct additional experiments, which he did, but anything that matters, he actually did.
It wasn't done in a controlled environment. There was no opportunity.
Okay. It wasn't done in a clean room. But when you say controlled environment, the controls that matter are controls that will call it confounding variables. You are controlling for variables that will give you results that you can't use. So let's say you're trying to test a microphone for noise. If you got an AC like I do running in the background that's noisier than the microphone, then your noise experiments can be worthless. If you are testing bandwidth and you're only got a 1K tone to play and you can't sweep from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz or whatever, let's not even get into that one, then you are not in a controlled environment. The controls that he needed in order to do this test were all there. There's sufficient frequency response to what he was doing, sufficient capturing technology, sufficiently low noise floor in the background. In fact, he could have had saws going in the background and you still would have been able to take most of his tests to the bank here. So this is special pleading, man. This is like, let's see if anybody's actually got this. Second. Okay, so here's the argument. Scientific method. Invent hypothesis, make our observations. Do all of them fit? Yes. Then it becomes theory, make some more observations. Do all of them fit? No. Invent another hypothesis. Here's the creationist method. Do not accept evolution. Look for quotes by scientists. Finding that fit? No. Use bad logic instead. Yes. Evolution is falsified. So this is what we're doing. Man, this guy is like Mr. Batman at this point. Yeah, you're supposed to do that in a clean room or something.
For peers to review and conduct the same test themselves separately.
You can conduct it. Again, here you are in this beautiful guitar workshop you got. You could more easily than Jim Lill did conduct that same experiment. But instead of that, you're talking about the definition of science. Why is that? Do you rely on Tonewood to make your living? Are you one of these guys like Paul Reed Smith that, you know, you've got a factory that makes excellent guitars? What's going to set you apart? Oh, I'm putting these woods in it. Speaking of which, I have a significant person going to Korea very soon and hopefully going by World Music Instruments. I miss so much being able to buy these guitars for peanuts. But now that World has moved their stuff to Indonesia, we should be seeing more. But I needed to get a bolt-on version because my neck screws are just too heavy for me at this point. And there's nothing for sale. Anyways, you could have done this yourself.
And to confirm his results, and when all of that is necessary for it to be considered real science.
Right. And you could have done that, but instead you're talking about the definition of science.
So in the end, what Jim posted is entertaining hypothesis. And maybe someday someone down the road will see that and think, we're going to repeat this process, but we're going to do it in a controlled laboratory.
You can repeat it right now, and there is no control that needs to be there that he didn't do.
end, what Jim posted is entertaining hypothesis. And maybe someday someone down the road will see that and think, we're going to repeat this process, but we're going to do it in a controlled laboratory environment. We're going to publish our findings in a scientific journal, and then we're going to let our scientist peers review it.
He let his peers review it. Look,
replicate the experiment.
You can replicate it all you want, but you're talking about the definition of science instead.
And then we're going to let our scientist peers review it, replicate the experiment, and then we can confirm the results. But until then, it's just a hypothesis.
It's not a hypothesis.
It's a little more than an opinion, but it isn't scientific theory.
You're just stating opinion here.
Unfortunately, another problem is science has really taken it on the chin in the last couple of decades. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, science has gotten so complicated that most people don't even understand how it's conducted. So as a result, they feel it's okay to express their opinion and that their opinions are equal to scientific fact, which of course they're not. The other problem is science hasn't always lived up to our expectations. We still have a lot of diseases out there that have not been cured by the miracle of modern science. And we've come to realize that there are...
Cancer still exists, therefore Einstein wrong. Herbity-derbity.
Limitations to what we can expect science to accomplish. And then, of course, there is the whole issue of science sometimes delivering bad news. In fact, in recent years, it seems like science has been delivering more bad news than good.
What's all this crap? Look, science is delivering bad news. It's delivering bad news for you Tonewood nuts. That's where it's delivering bad news. That's good news to me because that means I can use cheap... What's the guy? Didn't somebody make a guitar out of like cardboard pulp or something and it was fine? I know somebody made one out of colored pencils, man. Get out of here.
As a result, I think a lot of people prefer to discount it, to lose faith in it, or just to simply deny it.
Shouldn't have any faith in science. You don't need faith. Faith is pretending you know something you don't know. You don't need to do that with science. Unless you're like a crazy solipsist and say, sure, how do you know you exist? Whatever. But let's not go there.
Fortunately, what science keeps proving is not going away. So I hope you have found this video to be thought-provoking. I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments section below. And until the next episode, take care, stay safe. And if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go watch a YouTube video on how to conduct brain surgery.
Oh, that was so clever. I'm going to have to put it in. We don't say doy enough anymore. It's like a popular thing in the 70s. So I'm just going to say this video was kind of peak doy. Let's see what all the smart people are saying. For clarifying science. The HM Photo says, good video, but I think you got what scientific is a little wrong. You don't have to publish it or have other people test it to be considered scientific. If it is made in a controlled, reproducible way, such as anyone can follow your methods and get the same result, like Jim Little did, it can be considered scientific. Others will try it and see if it validates your findings, and if you did something wrong, it will be invalidated. Yep, there's your peer review. But it was still made in a scientific way, so it doesn't matter where you post your tests and methodology. What matters is if they're correct, controlled, and reproducible. Yep. Yep. Anyhow, that was my rant for the day. I am very stressed out because I'm waiting for something to come back for something very important on Thursday, and it's not here yet. So I'm just freaking out. Coffee beans and resin is the ultimate instrument material. Is there any reason you couldn't do that? Is it true, like resin and acrylic end up way heavier than just most woods, right? I'm worried about weight right now. Like I'll tell you, if I had a guitar, if I could get a guitar, of course, I type in Gitler and I get Hitler. Oh, there goes my YouTube channel. Thanks a lot, man. Anyway, this, I can't believe it, man. There's the Gitler guitar, okay? This is what I was trying to find. Holy crap, YouTube! Don't you dare strike me. I'm going to Google prison. It's because of you, DuckDuckGo. All right. Anyway, look at this guitar. I play scallops, so I don't care about the fretboard anyway. To me, this is the ultimate guitar. Just please make one in the 7-string and look, LED lights. This thing looks so awesome. It's just frets. Like it is so perfect. I would love to have this guitar. I can't believe it popped that thing up. Oh, so lame. Yeah, look at this. Oh, it just looks beautiful. That's what I would like. But of course, it doesn't have any wood, so it can't possibly sound like a guitar, right? Anyway, I'll see you guys later. I'm going to go take care of the rest of the day here. Reminds me of a design engineer who's never actually worked on anything in the field. Well, he builds guitars, man. And I'm sure, actually, I've seen him build some really cool guitars. It's just, I don't know why. I think I saw him talking about Tonewood before, and I think, you know, as much as people don't like him, that Will Gelvin or whatever, he gets it right. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Actually, no, I won't see you guys later. I got something cool. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to find out. Oh, I can't believe this. I was supposed to do this so long ago. I'm in trouble. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Second here. Up Reaper. Gleefully awaiting this. X. Now, there was some poofing earlier. This might poof. We're going to find out. Oh, that doesn't look good. Okay, I'm going to remove this. Okay. Sampler here, is it running into it? Check my routing real quick. Oh. Okay, you guys, I'm running the newest Reaper. I'm running just the default theme here, so I'm not going to be happy when it comes time to drum edit. But what are we looking for here? This one right here. Okay, I want to see routing. There we go. Okay, so I think that in this case, route, yeah, it is going there. So let's just gonna set a boom bap, boom boom bap, boom bap. Parker Fly, yeah. Did they make a 7-string Parker Fly? Okay, so anyway. Take this out of the okay, so let's try this again. Compare. I'm gonna load up an impulse. And of course, I need the impulse folder to stay sticky. Okay, I'm gonna go and tell the developer right now. Stupid. Does not sound right. Oh, duh. Okay. Sorry. Here's the impulse. Okay. Now, let's go take a look at this. This is the impulse. Here's the reverb that we got right now. Look at this EQ. So that's one of the parts we're adding here. This is the original. That's actually pretty close. There seems to be a low pass filter, maybe. Let's just check on the CQ though. Let me get these a little bit closer first. 3 seconds, okay. I swear I'm not hearing. It doesn't sound like 3 seconds. Something sounds weird with this algo. Anyway, let's see. Check. So this is supposed to be a shelf now, or it can be made to be a shelf. Oh, so that's the cue. I'll right click it. There we go. So high shelf. Okay, so that's working. And low shelf wasn't working before. Yeah, that's working. Okay, good. Okay, but it's not changing that. Oh, that's working. Okay. Hey. So, if you don't know what you're looking at, this is our new reverb. It's not out yet. But I wanted to make it super easy to compare like an impulse, or if you just take an impulse of another reverb that you really like, and be able to compare it so that you can build it to be like that reverb you like, but still be able to actually change your time. If you ever use an impulse reverb, you can get the perfect reverb. It's ideal. And then it turns out that it's kind of the wrong time or tempo for your song. And when you stretch or shrink, it ends up making some weird sounds. Like it makes it either too dense if you shrink it, or sometimes they'll make it too grainy if you stretch it. Where in this case, you could build the reverb to act the way you want, and then use the reverb time here, and it will not get all goofy on you like that. Like I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if I go to reverb, this is a impulse loader. Play this again. Okay, it's fine, right? At that tempo, it's great. Do a stretch. So if I make it shorter, reverb go. Yeah, watch. I'll make it half as long. There we go. So here's half as long. Here's normal. Isn't that lush reverb? But when it's half as long, it's kind of garbage. So I'm going to make it longer. Now it's all grainy and craptastic, right? So that's so that's why we're working on this. I got some other stuff to get right, but it's looking like we're right there. I'll be back with icon.